Bonjour, et avant tout,
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody, particularly the organizers, for this symposium. My name is Isabelle Macal. I am President OIFVD, the French-speaking Association for Pain. It is an association dedicated to patients concerning all sorts of pain relating to any sickness. We work together with stakeholders interested in pain. We are a non-lucrative organization. And with regard to therapeutic education, I am going to show you a short PowerPoint. Right. The patient therapeutical education aims at helping patients acquire or maintaining those competencies which they need in order to manage their life together with a chronic illness. Chronic illness is a problem of health which necessitates several years or several decades, in fact, of suffering. This is associated many a time with invalidity or the threat of serious complications and could very easily reduce the quality of life of the patient. We're estimating about 15 million persons, about 20% suffering from this in France alone, which means we're all concerned. And this is on the rise, constantly on the rise. Chronic pain can be considered as chronic sickness, even though this is not 100% official in France yet. It actually, yes, has an important place on the program, and therefore we hope that very soon this is going to be considered a chronic sickness. 17 educational programs are studying this, and 15 other programs are specializing in pathological pain. What I would like to show you now actually Martine is going to take the floor, and she's going to explain the program that the association actually set up. Thank you, Isabelle. Yes, to live better. To live better. What does that mean? Living a better life. Well, there were expert patients and medical staff that have decided to work together. This is for the benefit, has been set up for the benefit of patients. First of all, identifying their requirements, their needs. And it is, as we said earlier on, it is only the patient that can give the maximum input of what's going on in his condition. We actually had yes, we studied rheumatology, post-operative, skeletal problems, migraine, anything whatsoever, really. So this is a wide horizon, a wide kaleidoscope of illnesses and the pain related to them. Of course, at the moment, obesity and diabetes result in chronic illnesses in France. And as we already said, this is constantly on the rise. The object of the program is to give the patient as much as possible autonomy, the autonomy he had lost over the years. So we are actually with the patient, seeing to his becoming independent once again, seeing what sort of life he would like to lead, and so on and so forth. We help the patient develop his knowledge on the complexity of chronic pain. Taking into account also, of course, psychological aspects in order to help people tackle and put up with their condition. We have to sustain and help the patient in the identification and solving of his problems. Of course, this is very important. also to provide the person with the necessary resources. Finally, we must ensure that the patient, when he finds his strength in order to not only to regain autonomy, but live completely without us. That is the aim of our program. And this is what we propose to the patient in the first place. And of course, we're very happy when we finally realize that we have succeeded in our aim. Generally, a large number, however, of patients still find themselves in therapeutic isolation, and we cannot help them. Right, as a main, we're going to, as a main point, we're going to speak about the modalities with regard to French law. So we have shared educational balance. We have 4 different modalities.
Sur les modalités, donc il y a un bilan éducatif partagé pour voir avec le patient ses objectifs.
So we actually study the objective of the patient and then draft a personalized program. So the patient can be integrated in the program, follow all the sessions, or follow simply some of the sessions. The objective is to teach the patient to learn how to tackle his terrible pain. But of course, they ask us, how can I live with chronic pain? You can't even think of it. At the beginning, they don't believe us. And this is how we actually would like to have the patient regain his personal autonomy. And this means that we have to be with the patient all the time, taking into account psychological aspect, obviously, of the situation. And as we've already said, to try and give both physical and psychological strength to the patient, who cannot imagine such a thing at the beginning of the session. Right, what do we do in the course of the sessions? They're all based on the same format, on the same plan, with several sequences. Collective, yes, groups, in other words, but with individual attention. We have groups, everybody can actually express himself. Then we have a group session based on breathing. However, we also talk about physical activities, but this generally relates to sports. And how can the poor person who's in pain relate to sports? But we're not referring to sports, but on posture, etc. Then we also have other sessions which are more psychological. And we see what could be leading to the troubling of the patient. Finally, the last session is actually set up by the expert patient. And in this session, the patient actually speaks about his problems, his experiences, and we try and find solutions to this. We also have pedagogical tools which we have created for this program, because we realize that when one is in pain, what's the most important thing when you get up first thing in the morning? Your humor. If you're in a good mood or a bad mood. If you're in pain, you cannot be in a good mood, obviously. So we have, with a few smileys, you can understand what we're talking about. And each patient actually identifies himself with a particular smiley on each day. That's all I had to say. Thank you very much indeed. I now give the floor to... Oh, no. Shall I continue? No, excuse me. I shall go on. Yes, of course. Yes, I wanted to say we also have persons who accompany the patient for either short sessions or long-term ones. If all right. If possible, we integrate the patient in a group. But if not, we give him or her individual attention. Yeah. Merci beaucoup. Voilà.
Donc, moi, en tant que médecin de traitement de la douleur,
Right. I treat pain. I'm a doctor, actually, myself. And I worked in hospitals in the therapeutic section. I think there are 2 points which I would like to say. Yes, both alliance and trust. Actually, these associations, this new entity, let's call it this, which the expert patient represents, how shall we identify him, I wonder? How is he to be identified? What is he going to do in future years? What do we expect him to do? He has chronic pathology, obviously. And, well, what is his position, his posture? Is he sitting properly? Can he walk? Whatever. So, you see, each program has to be practically tailor-made for each and every patient. There are teaching sessions not only for the patients, but also for the people who follow them up, who help them, for the carers. We have different approaches, therefore, north or south, whatever. It's a kaleidoscope. It's a program that includes a kaleidoscope of cares. Well, really, even when we work in a group, there are no 2 patients which actually require exactly the same treatment. And therefore, in our work groups, we actually have to adapt ourselves to each and every person we are caring for. What is important is this. We have to find the ways and means of carrying out these courses, but of course this costs money, and most of us actually work free of charge. So this is very difficult, and we have to invest financially. Otherwise, I mean, we can't go on. And of course, sometimes this takes this takes a long time. It's long-term care. But of course, even though the people work free of charge who help these people, yet the thing is that we need finances. We need the property, we need help, and you can understand in any case. So what we actually found very effective is the fact that many of us work all together. You see, these patients become our family. We work with them. And, well, they become our friends. Specific pathologies have to be cared for specifically. And yet, we enjoy the work we do. What is indispensable on both sides, the associations and the carers, but also, obviously, the psychologists, the nurses. We work all together, and we must trust one another. We must know one another very well and know exactly who is doing what. Well, of course, trust also relies on the agencies which finance these programs in order to try and make these patients live as long as possible. And obviously, even the patients have to feel this trust in a multi-professional, multidisciplinary way. Well, that's all I had to tell you. Thank you for your attention.